Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever the case may be, wherever you're watching this live stream, wherever you're watching post match carnage. Welcome to the stream, welcome to the show, and welcome to my panel. Errol, Mo, how are you guys doing?
I'm all right, actually. In fact, I'm realizing it looks like I'm in the dungeon, so I'm just going to turn the light on. Hold up.
Do that. Really, why Mo's had the turn light off because he told us he's ordered a takeaway and he's probably ordered it secretly and privately, so no one knows what he's eating. So that's why he turned the light off, really, and just like school kids back in the day when we're not supposed to be eating chocolates. You turn the lights off so no one can see you. That's what Mo was really doing, but people don't know that. Errol, you good?
Yeah, man, all good my end. Mate, we march on, we go again. Like all of these things are just coming back right now, and feel from a Liverpool fan's perspective anyway, it's good vibes all around. So I'm happy, man. I'm happy.
Yeah, look, and normally I don't have the opposition fan on a post match show, but I thought it'll be interesting, and it'll be it's always good to get the opposition's view and opinion of how they thought their team fared, and also how they thought what they thought of us. And of course, I had to get my man Dan on. Dan, most welcome again, as usual.
Man, anytime, man. Always a pleasure coming and speaking to you boys, particularly yourself, Grizz. I'm always happy to support you, bro. And yeah, I don't know how I feel, mate. If I'm honest with you, but I will get into it, man.
100%. Obviously, loads asking why did I do the post match yesterday straight after the game, because people sometimes like the raw emotion side of things. It took me, and Dan will testify because you're at the game, it took me an hour and a half just to get out of North London. It was chaos. The weather.
I got home at 1 a.m., bro.
1 a.m. exactly. 1 a.m. Exactly 1 a.m. So I was ready to do the post match, but someone's echo. But I thought, look, I'll give myself a day to dry up first because it was horrible. It did not stop raining. It was cold. It was wet. It was windy. But Errol, all of that goes out of the window when you come back with a huge, monumental, pivotal 3 points away to a very, very good and informed Arsenal team. Am I right, boss?
100%, man. 100%. Like, we did the preview, and I was confident, obviously, before the match. But as soon as the match comes, you see the players lining up, it starts to kind of just settle in that Arsenal could spoil the party. You know, you've got a man in Arteta that has played his playing career for Everton and Arsenal. He's been the Padawan to, the almighty Pep Guardiola. Like, he wants to spoil our Liverpool party more than anybody. If he can do it and turn the screws, he'd be up for it. And he feel like he can puff his chest out a little bit and maybe front cop again. And again, I think those nerves kind of set in. And the reality is that, Arsenal have got the potential. They could hit us with the pace. If they have a bit of clinical edge on the day, they could cause us some damage. And it was that initial feeling that, I think coming back to the conversations we had the night before, we are going to have to play good and Arsenal are going to have to play bad in order for us to secure it. But I was confident the day before we was going to get a 3-0. So for the first half an hour, 40 minutes, I'm thinking it might not be at right now. I'd just take the 1 and let's get gone.
It was one of those games. It was one of those games where Mo, like Errol says, we knew we had to be on it to get anything from it. We had to be the two informed teams. In fact, many would say the informed teams. I know Chelsea have got 5 wins in a row, but the football that the Arsenal were playing leading up to this, knew we couldn't go there and sort of play at 50-60% and stroll through this. We knew it's going to be energetic. We knew they're going to press. So did the start surprise you in any way, shape or form?
Well, I mean, full disclosure, I was listening to the start on the radio because I was still on the train. I have since watched it back, though. But the guys on the radio were getting very excited about the Arsenal performance, and that didn't surprise me. You were right to say that it was one of those games where we knew we'd have to be ready from the off. Like Klopp even mentioned in the pre-match press conference about the last couple of games that we haven't started with the intensity that he would like, which said to me a massive klaxon to say that like he's been hammering that to the boys. And it sounded like in the early exchanges that intensity was there, but as the half went on, Arsenal got the upper hand. And it's a funny one for me with Arsenal because sometimes I can say things about them and it can sound dismissive, but I do genuinely see their progression. And I think everyone's just kind of waiting for that big statement win. And if we weren't on it, that could have very easily have been us last night. But I think the way that we are at the moment, the kind of muscle memory that we're building in terms of how to stay in games, how to hang in games when the opponent's got the upper hand and not concede, and then be able to grow into play your football. That was all in evidence in this game. And I think those are the things that you're going to have to build if you're Arteta and Arsenal to kind of get to our level. But those things take time. We didn't just have that overnight. We had a good 2-3 seasons where we thought we had it and then we didn't. So this is like, from an Arsenal perspective, I think that this is still something you can be positive about. I would also say, we might go on to that in a bit, but looking at Arsenal's fixtures, they've basically got 10 days where they've got 3 big games, and all the others they should be able to win. And to be honest, if they win all those others, I think they'll probably get top 4 anyway.
Yeah, look, Dan, we discussed it. Do you remember we spoke about it previously? And Mo and Errol are spot on in terms of, the way Arsenal have been playing and the way they were going to set up. It wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't going to be a stroll in the park. We had to be on our A game. But from your perspective, we start off with you in terms of we're not going to go into the details of the game yet. Just overall, your feeling at the final whistle compared to at the start of the game. Like, did it exceed obviously it didn't exceed your expectation, but kind of where was you at full time with it? Just your overall feeling.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Grizz, because I felt like I would say the majority of Arsenal fans disappointed because of the result, but not disappointed because of the performance. I didn't think that we rolled over and died. I think that we did make a couple of errors, which you can't do against Liverpool, because they're top quality. And if I'm honest with you, I think we made it difficult for you. And I kind of left the ground thinking, do you know what? At least the guys played for the shirt. We didn't crumble. We've seen 5-0s and 4-0s before. We didn't see that. And although the scoreline was, looks quite comfortable, I don't think there's any Liverpool fan that can sit there and say that they knew after 60 minutes that it was going to be a 2-0 and we walk away and we say, thank you very much. This has been an easy game. So I think that's probably the way that we are at the moment. I just think that's where we are. I don't think we're a team that's going to, do this against the big teams. I still think because we're young and we're naive at times, I still think the pressure does get to us. We've got a young coach, we've got young board members, and we've got a young team. And I think that is going to be a little bit of patience needed. And this was why I had question marks over the process at Arsenal, because I've already been patient for 18 years. I didn't want to be patient for another 5 or 6, but unfortunately, it looks like this way, and we're going to have to be a little bit more patient. Having said that, Grizz, I do look at the situation of progress and think, yeah, I can see something there now. I think some of the young players that we've got are exceptional. I really do. I don't really know another team in Europe that has this many good young players all coming through at the same time. People will look at the Haalands and Mbappes of this world, and of course they're exceptional, but they're not all playing in the same team. I actually think Arsenal have probably got some of the most exciting youngsters. But bro, you have to be realistic. You brought on Mo Salah and Firmino. We brought on Nketiah and Smith Rowe. It's the way that we are. We are not going to be able to compete with that squad, mate. It's too good. People laughed at me when I said to you on the show the other night when I said Liverpool are going to win the league this season. Everybody said no chance because they haven't got strength in depth. Well, I think your strength in depth looks just fine to me, because I looked at that bench and thought, wow, you were bringing on players that I could only have dreamed being an Arsenal teammate. So that's my honest thoughts going away from the game. I wasn't gutted, like disappointed. Oh my God, this is all going to go wrong with our season, because this doesn't define top 4 for Arsenal. It's all about what happens next for us. But you boys fully deserved it. And I thought at times in that second half, I thought you were outstanding. I really did.
Errol, Dan makes a wonderful point and segue into the squad system, the squad situation, I should say, with us. And obviously, we always look out for the lineup now because we've got so many options, especially in that forward line. And, I think we all disagreed, or I think we all had different front lines when we done the team predictions.
We all had Salah in it. We all went for Salah in it.
Yeah, we said if Salah's fit, even though I was the one that suggested Salah needs a rest at some point. But Salah is not in the team lineup.
No.
And so what does that mean for us psychologically? What does it mean for the opposition psychologically? Because I think looking back when I've watched the game, I think it plays a part in terms of their psyche and the way they were able to press us. Because usually, do you remember we discussed Salah gets double teamed, even triple teamed sometimes, right? So how did it make you feel? Because I know we always talk about the depth of our attack and we've got brilliant options, but Salah's Salah, isn't it? And there is a little bit of no Salah at the start, or was you totally calm and let's bring it?
Do you know what? I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Best way. Okay.
You know, I was actually fine with it because my rationale was, if what we put out in terms of Jota, Diaz, and Mane isn't enough, that is more opportunity for Salah to be like, this is why I'm the main fucking guy. And I think that narrative suits him, and he likes that. Do you know what I mean? And he wouldn't like to have been on the bench, but if that situation would have unfolded, I don't doubt he would have come on and made that impact. And it was almost Bobby that did what I've just mentioned about Salah. It was almost Bobby to say, have you forgot that I am the integral focal point that ties and knits all of this together? I'll start the play on the right-hand side, and then I'll finish the ball in the back of the net from the left-hand side. Like, that's me. I'm that guy. So I wasn't so bothered that Salah wasn't starting, because I felt like it was an opportunity for the other lads to then stake a claim for themselves as well. But I do feel from a psychological perspective, it did enable the Arsenal lads to think, you know what, we can risk that high line. We can risk it, because if there's going to be one guy who's going to sprint and get in there, I know Mane does get a half chance towards the end of the first half, but if there's going to be one guy that we need to be really careful of, it's Salah. But the fact that he's not there, it gives us the confidence that we can play touch tight, have that high line, try and be disciplined, and try and press the life out of those Liverpool forwards. And I think it took us 25 minutes to probably work out how to get around that and negate it a little bit. And I think Arsenal figured out very quickly that they could stifle us, but it was just about, do they have the energy to sustain that level of press?
That's exactly where it was, and I was going to go into that. But Mo, just on the Mo Salah thing, and then obviously, no Mo Salah means someone's got to play on the right. So, and that person was Sadio Mane. Now, we've often spoke about Sadio Mane's role, especially this season. We spoke about Sadio Mane's role not only in the team but in sort of positionally. Was he the right out of the players to start off there? Because I thought, and again, it shows when people talk about our front three being so connected in terms of the way we interlink, the way we play. It shows that when one important element of that is missing, it's not easy as just switching the personnel. You know, people talk about system players. No, they're just very good players, and I think it was indicative in that first 20 minutes where it wasn't about the system, it was about the personnel not being used to playing there, because Sadio hasn't played there for ages and ages and ages, right? And it showed.
He hasn't played there since we signed Mo Salah. And
of course,
and he was actually really good there before we signed Mo Salah. I think we all remember. Like, I did the piece.
He had his best season, didn't he? He had his best season on the right.
Arsenal, was that with the Arsenal debut as well, when he's cut in from that side?
Exactly. I was just going to say, like, I wrote a piece talking about how everybody in our front line has got a signature performance against Arsenal in their first season. Man, did it in his first game. He cut them up from the right-hand side. So, from that perspective, you think, okay, you can see why Klopp went with it. But it was really interesting for me because it was a genuine question. Like, if you talk about the left side, you'll say, okay, Mane and Diaz are still battling it out for who is the best on the left side. You go through the middle, you've got Bobby, you've got Jota. Now Mane's put himself in that conversation. There's never really been a debate about the right side because Salah's always there. I mean, he's literally always there. And when he's not playing, it's because it's a League Cup game. So it would be a Oxlade-Chamberlain or a Kai Gordon or even a Harvey Elliott. So we've never really had to answer the question of who is our second choice right-sided forward. So it was interesting to me that Klopp went with Mane. But I can understand from his perspective why it felt a little bit alien. And not because, like I say, it's been 5 years since he's done it, but because playing through the middle and trying to learn the playing through the middle, it's been such an all-consuming thing for him. And he's been building blocks on it, getting better week by week. So then to go and to have another new task to almost try to remember all of the old things he's doing, it was kind of difficult. And as I mentioned, it was noticeable that the biggest chances he had in both halves were going straight through the middle, like he has been for the last 3 or 4 games. So, yeah, there's going to be elements of rust. But I think what Klopp was also saying or hoping that the forwards we do have the quality, and they do have, well, in Diaz was in good form in particular, to be able to say, okay, even if we're not going to be making the patterns as we are normally, we've still got enough quality to be able to work it out. As it turns out, that needed a halftime talk and then a few more interventions before we did work it out. But, I mean, when you've got the level of depth that we've got, it makes these things a lot easier to be able to turn it around. Like, it's interesting what you're saying before, Dan, about the fact that, like, obviously you had Smith Rowe to come off the bench. Like, I think Arsenal at the moment are starting to look like Tuchel's Chelsea did at the beginning, in as much as they've almost got everything, but they just need someone to finish it off. And obviously, as we've seen this season, finding that one person can be quite difficult. I wonder if there's going to be a point where it's like, okay, Martinelli's doing really well out on the wing, but Smith Rowe can play there. Get him up the middle. Get him reps as the number 9. Do you think that's going to happen? Because I think he still sees himself as a striker. And we've seen so many times where you've got the guy who learns his trade as a winger to make the transition to striker and never gets there. Like, because he always ends up being on the wing. I think of Marcus Rashford. So do you think that this is something that could happen with him, or is he going to get the chance to go up top?
I think the reason Martinelli and Pepe won't be played ahead of Lacazette or instead of is because Lacazette brings up the hold-up play and the link-up play that Martinelli and Pepe just do not. I think what Martinelli and Pepe need is the ball in front of them threaded through. Lacazette does a lot of work. I thought he was poor last night, actually, I must say, Lacazette. But he does link-up play well. He does hold the ball up, but unfortunately, he doesn't score you goals. Grizz likened him to the Bobby Firmino style. I would rather have Bobby Firmino personally, but I get it. I understand Lacazette is that style. And I think he's been a good servant to Arsenal. I can't start slating him because he has been a good servant to Arsenal, Lacazette. He's got that kind of mentality that I think is needed, and he's a good leader. But actually, when you look at what we need right now is goals, and there's a certain guy who scored again tonight for Barcelona that couldn't seem to score goals for us, that's now scored 8 in 6 goals. Was it a style thing from Mikel, or was it Aubameyang was rubbish? I would suggest that it's probably a style that didn't suit Arsenal Football Club no more, and he's still going to be an elite striker, and he's still going to score goals, and people will always go, Aubameyang scored again tonight. Of course he did. He's an elite striker. He scored for Dortmund. He scored for Arsenal, and he's going to score for Barcelona, and that's exactly what he's doing. It's frustrating. I didn't want to see him go. I didn't want to see him end the way things did. But I think what I would like to see us in the summer go and do now is look at something like a Darwin Núñez, an all-round number 9 type striker. Somebody like him for me would be the game thing. I'd rather go for him than a Calvert-Lewin or a Phoenix or somebody like that. So that was what I would go for. Personally, I would have loved Vlahovic. It was never going to happen. Let's be honest. He was always going to Juve. So I think it's clearly what we need. As for Martinelli, I don't know what you 3 thought. I thought he was exceptional at times last night. I really did. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is one of the best, and I think he had a bit of a scary night at times against him. I really do like this kid. I was asked a question not long ago about Smith Rowe, Saka, or Martinelli, what my thoughts were, and I said that, listen, Saka is the best right now. Smith Rowe is the most improved, but the one with the highest ceiling is this kid. Martinelli is this kid. I just think is going to be exceptional. I think he can play anywhere. I think he's probably a number 9, Mo, if I'm honest with you, but not right now. For what we need, it's not going to happen. But I'm more than happy with what I'm seeing. I'd hate him to go anywhere. What I don't want to see is Martinelli do what Fabregas and then Van Persie's did and the Sanchez's do, because I'm sure Liverpool and Man City would snap him up right now, along with Saka, to be fair. But I thought Martinelli showed why Klopp was giving him all this credit, because I thought he was along with Thomas Partey, was one of our best players. I thought Martinelli was great to watch last night.
He did Trent a favour last night.
I was gonna come to you. Conroy is in the chat. He couldn't make the show tonight, obviously, but Conroy always talks sense, and he's talking sense again. He's saying big up the guys and smash the like. So could everyone just lift a finger, lift a thumb, lift anything? Just smash that like. Yeah, helps. Errol, Dan's talking about sort of the way Arsenal, it's a system thing. And obviously with the Aubameyang, you know, we're not going to get into that, because how many times did we get it with the Coutinho thing? Every time Coutinho scored for Barca or assisted, it was like, oh my God, we need the Coutinho replacement, whatever. We moved on. We got better. We became magnificent. I genuinely believe Arsenal have got better, and they're waiting to become magnificent. They're not magnificent yet, but they will get better. One of the things that I've noticed every time I see them play, and I witnessed firsthand, because that first 20, 30 minutes, do you remember we spoke about in terms of how they're going to set up against us?
Yeah.
And how the best way, we were talking about, is there any weaknesses in this Liverpool team? And we told Dan that your wide men will be as wide as possible, and then try to make inverted runs from there. I didn't think they had the midfielders to get into the box. And so therefore, for me, the game plan was effective but limited.
Yeah.
I knew unless there's a mistake from us, like Trent nearly made that ball, when he got turned by Martinelli, or something extraordinary from the wings, it's going to be very difficult for them to create chances. I was proved right, but they were very effective in controlling us because of their press. Now, Lacazette, Dan's been given his opinion on Lacazette, and of course, Dan knows Lacazette far more than me, watches him far more than me. But I thought Lacazette's pressing and energy, along with the rest of the team, because he was the leader. You know, like Bobby's the leader of our press. I thought Lacazette
sets the trap.
He sets the trap, and it made it really difficult for us to come out.
Yeah, no, I mentioned that Martinelli, he did Trent a favour, really, because those type of games are what are going to, the games in the league where you say Trent doesn't have to defend and, or he can't defend, all those things that get thrown at him. And it's like, well, there are large portions of the game where Trent's natural game isn't to defend because we're always got the ball and we're always on the front foot. But in a game like this, it kind of puts your skills to the test. And not to say that you're going to make every single decision right, but you're going to learn when you're up against a top-class forward. Right, that's what they do. They do things 2, 3, 4 times faster than your average forward, which means my body positioning needs to be different the next time. Yeah. So it's constantly in-game learning, and it will always take a while. And don't get me wrong, you can get caught out with that. But you mentioned a brilliant point there, Grizz, in terms of the midfield runner going in behind and trying to break those lines for Arsenal. That's what's hurt us in recent weeks. It's been that third man runner into the box. When our defenders have had to get split to kind of cover those wide areas, there's always been someone available. And I'm surprised, as you said, it was effective, but I'm surprised that Arteta allowed it to be so limited, because I would have expected the likes of Odegaard maybe or Partey to make those burst and runs to try and capitalise when there was a little bit of space in the middle of the park. But again, as you say, he was effective, but he wasn't able to capitalise on that enough for me. I think Robbo looked like he had the bit between his teeth last night, and that might have been the only bit of difference in terms of, you can't really punish us up down our left-hand side as much, because he will chase every last cause. He will burst the gut to get to any ball he thinks he's got. If it's a 70-30 chance, he's still going for it, and he wants to be a presence. He's got that Milner mentality where he's a proper shithouse. Like, you might be winning that ball, but he's going to be shouting shit all the way. Every step he's taking, you'll be shouting some shit to you in Glaswegian or whatever it is to put you off your next couple of steps. And he's just got that presence about him, which kind of stops players from feeling like they can get into their rhythm and play confident, where Trent he's a little bit more reserved and composed. He's not that aggressive. He gets gnarlier the longer the game goes on in our favour, because that's when his intelligence kicks in. Great point. I need to now start doing X, Y, and Z to take the sting out of the game. So Trent's got that side to his play, whereas Robbo is more I'm the aggressor. I'm always going to be breathing down your neck. I'm going to be my foot on your neck. No matter what you're doing in your position, I'm always going to be in touching distance of you. But I was surprised that, for as well as those lads are in terms of their actual ability, I'm surprised that they didn't work Alisson as much as they did. And I thought Matip was excellent as well. He marshals everything at the moment for he can't put a foot wrong.
I think there's a key part of what our defensive plan is against these guys as to why they didn't test Alisson as much. Because you're bang on in terms of the difference between the way Robbo does it and the way Trent does it. But I think to a certain extent, Martinelli was trying to draw Trent into that kind of aggressive play, because there were a lot of times where you could see after he did, because when you beat someone as openly and obviously as that happened in this game, it almost takes on more power than it deserves to, because it is just one moment in the game that didn't lead to a goal. So you as a defender need to be able to shake that off. And I think the fact that he was able to then, after that moment, he never dived in, He never got flustered and thought, okay, let me just go and take this guy out. As you see some defenders do when they've been beaten and embarrassed in a game like that.
Do you want to leave one on you?
Yeah. He kept his head and he always made sure that whatever Martinelli did to him, he wasn't doing it from in front of the goal. He always kept him in that channel. He didn't really ever escape that much. So I think it was a successful job by Trent, the defensive unit as a whole. And you could almost tell a little bit how they were feeling about it when you listen to Robbo talk in the post-match interview. Like when he was talking about Saka, it's like, we knew it was going to be a tough test. Like, I think this was one of those games where, again, it was drummed into him. It's like, you two are going to have a tough game. But you two are also fantastic players. So you're going to have to do this. It's a hard task, but I'm telling you, you're going to do it. And I feel like they kind of did. And I like the way that Robbo was and Klopp was quite defensive over Trent. And it's almost like they knew the plan, and they knew that he did what he wanted to do, because at the end of the day, we left that game and Arsenal didn't score. So as embarrassing as that might be for Trent, as many times as people show the meme, and as many times as we're going to have to hear people talk about Trent not defending and showing that video, every time you see that video, just remember, Arsenal didn't score in that game.
Do you know what, Mo? You make a very good point about in terms of maybe possibly Klopp suggesting to them that you're going to have possibly a horrid night if you're not on your game. Because, Dan, you speak about some of the best youngsters around, and I absolutely agree with you. And your game plan was based on your youngsters, which is positive going forward, but for the now, it can be frustrating at times. So if you're relying on your attacking impetus and just effectiveness, potency coming from the flanks, and then the creation from Odegaard, you will have games where you think you're frustrated, but then you look at the overall picture and you're playing against, in my opinion, one of the best defensive outfits in Europe. And I always talk about the axis of evil in our team. And that axis is Fabinho, Henderson, Virgil, and Matip. When you have them four snarling away at you in every phase of play, it's very difficult for the likes of Lacazette to get hold of the ball, for the likes of Odegaard, who has been an absolute creative spark for you. I thought you matched up in that opening half an hour really well with us, without capitalizing on that one turn that Martinelli done where Trent dives in. But I just thought you didn't. It wasn't about. I don't know how you think. I want your opinion. I just don't think you had the. I don't know if it's bravery or the game plan to attack that one, to get that one extra attacker from midfield into the area. So therefore, if you get a chance to cross it, if you get a chance to get in behind us, there's only Lacazette in the box, and that's what a major problem you had in that first half hour.
Played Liverpool 4 times this season. How many goals have we scored? Right? 0. So you look at that and you think it must be Arsenal that are shocking then. But actually, when you look at it, I looked at that game and I thought Watford and Leicester allowed Martin Odegaard to play his thing and do his thing, right? Fabinho, Thiago and Henderson didn't. Why? Because they're no mugs. They're experienced. They're top quality. And they said, keep the ball off this guy and he will not get the ball to the danger. And I think that although we did in a couple of areas, you made it very, very difficult. I thought Thomas Partey was absolutely sensational last night. I really did. I thought he was really, really good. But your midfield was exceptional. And I think when you look at the Sakas of this world, I thought that was probably one of the worst games he's had this season. But I don't put it down to Saka being poor. I put it down to you guys setting up right. I do think there's one player in this Liverpool team that somehow gets overlooked and is quite underrated, and that's Matip. I don't really understand why he doesn't get the credit deserved. It's very bizarre to me. Maybe it's because he's injured.
No, it was a free transfer, bro. If he would have
That's what it is. Dan, we often say this. It's all about social media. It's all about the expensive, shiny toys. This guy was a free transfer. But listen, we speak about him. Talk your talk. This is why I've got an opposition fan on. Talk your talk.
I just look at the way that you set up and I just think you've got 2 of the best fullbacks or wingbacks in the world. Probably, I would say probably are. So people think they must be easy to be got at then. because they're bombing it down the wing, they're leaving themselves vulnerable. The reason that doesn't happen is because you've got discipline all around. You've got discipline from Fabinho, you've got discipline from, of course, Van Dijk and Matip, as we discussed. But Jordan Henderson and Thiago, I've said those three, you know, I know Naby Keita was getting a mention, but for me, those three are, in my opinion, are the best three that Liverpool have got. I do think that. And I think that that is what I would be playing because of what Jordan Henderson brings, not just technically, but also mentality wise. And then you've got the beautiful footballer that is Thiago and always has been. And Fabinho, I just think is world class, mate. I just think this guy is ridiculously good. Like, I saw him against us in the League Cup at the Emirates, and that's one of the best performances I've seen. Reminds me of a Busquets or a Gilberto Silva or somebody who just sits and holds, and you don't realize how much you miss him until he is not there. The guy is ridiculously good. So I'm a big fan. I actually really like watching Liverpool. I really do. I just think they're a great, great outfit, and love the manager, love the style of football. And sometimes you've got to hold your hands up and say we're not there yet. And I think that when you can have 5 forwards that you've got to choose from, like you've got, we discussed it on the preview show, saying who do I want to see, and I didn't really want to see any of them, Chris, because they're just ridiculously good, mate. And when you've got that much talent to bring on, you know, when you're looking at Salah coming on the pitch, like from the bench, and Bobby Firmino is a player that I think has been extremely underrated and overlooked. I think he's somebody that just makes Salah and Mane score the majority of the goals they have in the last 3 years. So I was really, really impressed with Liverpool, particularly in that second half. I thought it was an outstanding performance for about 15 minutes. And it wasn't just because you scored in that time. It was how you were playing and how disciplined you were. And it looked at times men against boys again. For that sort of 15, 20 minutes, it looked like you're just not ready, Arsenal, and we are. And it's probably because that is the case. You know, you've been doing this, the team's been together for probably 4 years now. You can select how they're going to play and how disciplined they are, but also going forward, they're extremely dangerous. And I feel where I'm more disappointed is how we gifted you the goals, as opposed to, you know, I sometimes look at Mo Salah and think, if you take it round us and you put it in the top corner like you've done before, I can sit there and go, fair play, this kid's ridiculously good. When we gifted the goals like we did, I thought it was pretty poor. I thought Ramsdale should have done better, personally. And then Saka's not got the clearance that he needs to. It falls to Robertson, he squares to Firmino, and the defending's poor from White. So maybe I'm a bit frustrated by that.
Don't go into the goals. Don't go into the goals yet. Don't go there. Because, Errol, people at half-time were getting frustrated. First and foremost, there's over 350 of you in here. Smash that like button. These guys are giving you deep, real insight. I'm talking as less as possible because these guys are stealing the show. So give me a like for these people. Errol, there was a super chat that I wanted to come to you because it's relevant. And Maths, thank you for the super chat. He says, why didn't we play down the left for Diaz first half? Because what happened was, we very quickly changed it, didn't we? Well, I say quickly. Would you say it's about the half an hour mark where we swapped Diaz and Mane? Something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Klopp didn't like the way we were attacking. Obviously, Mo's discussed, you know, some of the reasons why, because it's a total different position for him and he's, you know, being asked to shift around, move around. But generally, Jota was having a stinker by then. I think it's fair to say. Or we could do the Lacazette approach where Lacazette and Jota were probably the most ineffective because the two centre-backs on both teams were having great games. I thought Gabriel and Ben White up to that point were very physical, very physical, very organised. And I thought our boys were fucking immaculate, like absolutely immaculate. So we had to try and change it. Did it have any effect, in your opinion, in that last 15 minutes? Because, we had the Virgil header. But then coming up to the halftime, just before the halftime, Trent, who got spun in that first half, but then the reverse of that is he picks out an absolute peach of a pass to Sadio, and Sadio's in his more natural position. It could have been a brilliant ending to that first half, but we wouldn't have deserved it, right?
No, I think it was very even in that first half. So you're probably right, and I think it was almost chess match like where they're both trying to work each other out, and then
Diogo's admitted it. Diogo sends in a super chat and admits it. He's very fair. Diogo says, I had a poor game again, Grizz, up until I scored. Yeah. Yeah.
Why does he always have to score? He always scores against us, man. He always scores against us.
Don't worry, Dan, we're getting there.
But I think it's right. They wasn't as effective as we would have liked them to have been. They didn't make as much of an impact in that first half, and that's why I think Klopp, again, I'm happy that he's going to his substitute benches now a lot earlier in games, because he realizes we've got the tools to actually bring on and make a difference. But I also like what he's been doing, and I think I've noticed that more since Diaz has been here. Even though the front three was fairly fluid, and in terms of like they're happy to pick up the ball wherever they are in an attacking phase of the pitch. Like, they're happy to pick up the ball. If you've got to receive it there, if you've got to get dragged out wide or get dragged onto the other side, they'll receive the ball there. They'll do a little bit of work there. They'll try and make something happen. It doesn't work. They revert back to type. Now, since Diaz has come, I think it's because of Klopp's thinking of, where are you going to be the most impactful in a game? And I'm still trying to cherry pick what's going to be the best situation for you. So I'm quite happy where we're not just going free flowing, but we're more a little bit prescriptive in terms of, you're going to get 20 on that side. If it's not working, then you'll move into the center. If it's not working, then and he's kind of doing that and just slotting between those options in game in the first half to try and establish, how are we going to get as much of a stranglehold on this opposition team and be as clinical as possible. And then if it's not working, I know we're about to touch on too, it's substitutions that can just make something happen and can change. In terms of that Trent ball, I was only going to mention before, Arsenal fans are saying, there is no shame and no embarrassment losing to this Liverpool side, who they might feel, and as Liverpool fans, we do feel are the best team in Europe right now. I feel the same energy needs to be expended on Trent, in the sense that there is no embarrassment or shame to have moments where you are ripped apart by one of the best left forwards on the planet. Young, under 23, 20, 21, whatever his age cap is, he is one of the best in terms of Martinelli. So I don't think there's any shame in that. But I think
I've always said that. I've always said that.
It's not like he's getting called out by a bum.
I always said that this is always short-sighted thinking from fans when you highlight an amazing, young, tricky, fast winger being able to take on a fullback and say, there you go, he can't defend. No, this guy can fucking dribble. This guy is good. And he's done a fullback. That's it. But overall, they created zero. Like, literally zero. Alisson makes a save, and we're going to come on to the incidents, and it's all because of our own mistake, etc., etc. But it needed a half-time. Mo, I don't know how you felt. In the stadium, I was very cold. I was very wet. I didn't expect us to be 2-0 up at full time, but I expected a bit more control. But I knew, Mo, I knew the way Arsenal pressed and put that effort in, and that Lacazette was doing shuttle runs like no man's business. Martinelli, Saka had to come in, then come out again, come in and come out. And as he says, Partey covered half a marathon in that game. Mo, I knew we're going to work this out, because the last few games, Liverpool haven't played brilliantly, but they've given me 18-19 vibes, where we worked games out and we became the efficient machine that enabled us to walk away with the lead. I had that in me. All around me, everyone was saying, get Jota off, bring on Mo, half time, do it. I was like, Jota's having a stinker, an absolute stinker, but I wouldn't take him off, because if there's a chance that falls to Jota, it's 1-0 Liverpool. How did you feel at half time? And was you clamoring for changes? Be honest.
No, I'm kind of like you. I'm kind of sanguine about it, because we've seen it so much, particularly in recent times. I think you're bang on with Jota as well. He has become one of those guys who can. It's almost like when he's playing at his worst is when you expect him to score, because it's like, okay, yeah, he's having a shocker, goal incoming in 3, 2, 1, and there it is, he scores. And that must be an absolute nightmare for the manager, by the way, because it goes against all conventional wisdom. It's like, okay, yeah, it's not his night tonight, and then take him off. Oh, maybe not. And he probably was going back and forth on it, made the decision, right, no, he's coming off. Then he scores. And it's like, So many managers would have kept him on, but he was like, no. The reason why I wanted to put these two on is still a valid reason, and we saw exactly what that reason was. And I think it's really interesting the way that he brought on Bobby and Salah at the same time, because all of the Arsenal focus would obviously be on Salah because he's Salah, and because almost they had like 65 minutes or 55 minutes off from having to think about him, and suddenly he's back in. But Bobby was the one who was always going to do the danger, because like you say, Grizz, when you've got a tired team or a team that is tiring and they aren't able to maintain that intensity, Bobby's the guy you need, because he has that speed of thought, but also calmness of movement that you need to take advantage of those kind of things. Because he was just taking an extra step away from someone when they weren't looking, just to buy him an extra half yard of space, just that little flick around the corner when someone's expecting him to go the other way. And just these little things that just open, you just get these little cracks, and then Bobby's just got his little hammer and he just taps at the cracks, and then they open up and they open up and they open up, and suddenly there's a bit more space to work with. And it's not just about the fact that we've got these 5 good forwards. It's the fact that they do have such different skills and they can kill you in different ways, that when you're a team, like you said, who is tiring, and you're having to think about a completely different way of someone trying to attack you, it does make it harder. And I noticed something you said before, Errol, about the fact that Klopp's getting it earlier with his subs. I've noticed that too. And I do think it's almost like in his mind, this is how he wanted to do it all along, but he's not really been able to, because he's never really had them all there together to go this and that and this and that. So I feel like what we're seeing now from Klopp, as well as from the team, this is kind of like as he would want it to be in the perfect world. So it's really kind of interesting to me from that perspective as well. But I think in terms of the problem-solving element of it, a lot of it depends upon the intelligence of the players, but also the faith and belief they have in each other to know that they can hold out. I mean, even like when you watch back that Thiago pass to Lacazette, it's mad, because like Virgil's not even looking. Like he plays it as if he was going to play it to Virgil. Virgil's over there, and so it's like, if that had been a goal, you can imagine how that would have been a very interesting conversation between them. But Alisson, and again, what have I said about not being flustered and being super calm? I mean, he is the embodiment of that. Like, they did the highlight of it for the fact that, again, in lots of situations, keeper would have dived in at them, given away a penalty. I think we can all think of some goalkeepers who would have certainly done that. But no. And like the save itself is only available because he's still there. He's still on his feet. And just that ability to think in the moment, to have that calmness and the belief to be able to change things, to be able to play your football in whatever scenario you find yourself. That's why when I was in the cab on the way back home at halftime, I was chilling.
Errol, you're on mute, so unmute yourself. I think you tried to say something earlier. We couldn't hear you. But was you as calm as Mo and me? Or are you one of these, you were slightly frustrated? Because I could sense the frustration.
Bro. You know what shit. I'm like.
So, so that's what I mean.
I get like,
so how was your, so taking that into consideration, when Thiago does that back pass, what is going through your brain? Because that could be absolutely pivotal in this title race, in this everything, because it's the last person you expect to not know where he is on the pitch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He had glimpses of that last season where he just kind of gave away just very nonchalant passes. And it was like, lad, you can't do that. Like, the league might be slightly different, but the pace of it, people will be onto that shit in a flash. You just can't do it. But he hasn't had those patches this season at all, really. He's hardly put a foot wrong. And it was just that kind of Arsenal having through everything that they've got at us, but they've tried their best to contain us and would love to be able to punish us. I don't want to be the team that comes to Arsenal and gives them that goal, because we have a mountain to climb then, because I think they played out and tried to press us and kind of went toe-to-toe for us. it would have been a case of, do they have the mentality and I've got the ability now to sit and protect the lead? And that would have been the next challenge. So just as we were starting to, when you're cracking, again, I don't know because I've never cracked a safe, but I imagine when you're cracking a safe and you're working the team.
You've said it too many times. You've said it too many times, Errol. You've worked it too many times.
But when you're working that safe and we're almost about to crack the code, and then all of a sudden all of the automated locks just change and you're not getting back in it. That's what would have happened if we would have fucked up. So honestly, I just felt it was a sigh of relief, because I've said it so many times on streams as well. If you get past Henderson, you've got Fab. If you get past Fab, you've got Virgil. And then if you get past, if you manage to man up Virgil and stand them up and beat him, drop a shoulder, you have to get past Alisson. And that is that little bit of last little reassurance you've got in your mind that you've got some chance. And, sometimes I'm a little bit critical of him in terms of the goals he concedes, because teams aren't really in the game much, and then they just score and it's just a flash shot and it goes in. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it, like the Inter game. But last night, when you needed them, hadn't had to do much, hadn't really had to make much saves, hadn't really been tested in terms of his particular role, he stood up and again, another save that just demonstrates how vital he is to the system that we play. Because I seen a stat, it must have been about 6 weeks ago, where everyone was raving about De Gea. The most saves, 98 saves in the Premier League season this so far. Alisson's there with like 43 and Ederson's there with like 52 or something. And I'm like, these guys don't make saves because their goal is not getting peppered night and day in a match. Do you know what I mean? But when they do make the saves and they are called upon, they stand up more times than not. So it was, when your emotions go from one to the other straight away, it was literally one of them ones where I was in disbelief. And then all of a sudden, it's like celebrating a goal, because you know how big the momentum shift is in that save.
Dan, I want to come to you because Errol's mentioning emotions, right? And Matt sends in a super chat. So he says, AFTV, shout out to the lads at AFTV, of course, all friends of the panel and show as well. AFTV failed to mention 30 minutes in, they cleared it 60 yards and no Arsenal players were past the halfway line, had them pinned in. Oh, and the VVD chance. I want to speak about sort of the emotion of that second half, because obviously you gave it your best shot in that first half, I thought. And I spoke about the energy and the pressing, and you could visibly see it when you're at the ground as well, how much effort the Arsenal lads were putting on. Did you think second half, because let's not forget, you've been playing one game a week for a little while. Suddenly, this was your third game in about 7 days or whatever. Suddenly, you're not used to the intensity of playing that many games in that short space of time, whereas we're on a momentum. We're used to this shit, yeah? Did you sense the younger players may be tiring, and then you get a chance like that? And it's Lacazette does the right thing, lays it off to Odegaard, who's got the sweetest left foot probably in your team. But then you see the monster that is Alisson make that save. And then also going into the other end, where obviously I'll come to the good points from the Liverpool point of view. But did you then on that side think your keeper could have done better with our opening goal? So just those two events.
Yeah, in terms of those two moments, they're probably the two key moments of the game, if I'm honest with you, Grizz. I looked in the second half, and I think everybody at the halftime was saying, okay, we're cool with this. Like, we're still in the game. It's not gone wrong. And like you, this was the biggest test for us because we've had no European football this season. When we have had the FA Cup games and the League Cup games that have got in the way of the Premier League season, all of that COVID nonsense went wrong. So we didn't actually play the games, it turned out. So we haven't really played anything other than one game a week. So this was always going to be a test. And when you've got a midweek game, I don't really want it to be Liverpool, if I'm honest with you, but it was. So we had to get through that. So to get to half-time at 0-0, we're still in the game. I was happy. I was happy with the way that we played. The performance was there. That key moment could have changed it. And Alisson, I'm taking nothing away from him. Absolutely sensational. However, Odegaard gives him that chance. Hit that first time. Don't take that touch, because once you do that, mate, it's too late. And I like Odegaard, and I think he's been great, but I didn't think he was great because of you guys. Fabinho, I thought, was outstanding last night for you, and obviously kept things very, very quiet for Odegaard. There was someone in the chat, actually, I just want to answer it because they were asking me. Yes, we did try and get Fabinho. We did. Unai Emery wanted Fabinho and Thomas Partey and was given Dani Ceballos. That's how good that went. So yeah. Anyway, that's going on for tangent. But that key moment for me was massive, Grizz. And I think everybody in the stadium got a little bit deflated because they thought, you can't not take those chances when they come to you against a team like Liverpool. And then what happens? Our goalkeeper doesn't have an Alisson moment. And at the time, as I say to you, I was sitting the North Bank, so it was the other end to me. And I said to my dad, I said, how's that gone in? How has that gone in? And unfortunately, one of our most consistent players and best players this season had a little bit of a nightmare, the near post. And the rest of it is, after that moment, very, very difficult for us because I think it did kill us, if I'm honest with you. I think it killed the team a bit and I think it definitely killed the fans. I thought the atmosphere was great from you guys and from us, actually, and it was a really good game of football. But that was a key part of the game. And those sort of 5-10 minutes really changed the game. And I thought from that point onwards was where you really looked really dangerous and really good. So that would probably be my best analysis of it, really, mate. Erdegaard should have hit that first time and it could be a different story. But yeah, I don't know what Thiago was doing. It was a madness bit of thinking, but we didn't capitalize on it. So it doesn't matter, mate. You got away with it.
Mo, that was the point, and I said it to everyone around me as well. Thiago is so experienced, played at every level, at an elite level. He knew, and his reaction was obviously, as per would be for anyone, like, sorry guys, that's, Virgil, Robbo even has shouted him because Robbo doesn't hold back on anyone. Doesn't matter if it's Virgil, doesn't matter if it's Thiago. Robbo is the type of person, he'll shout out Klopp if he needs to. Like, let's get this shit done, right? Because Robbo was fucking outstanding. But from then on, I thought Thiago upped his game, and he needed to, Mo. Mm-hmm. I know we love him and everything, but I thought, even though taking into consideration Arsenal were good, I thought Thiago wasn't composed enough, wasn't involved enough of, especially for a player of his caliber. Hendo was effort, but the quality wasn't quite there. But Hendo was loads of effort. Fabinho was brilliant. From that point onwards, Thiago, in my opinion, started running the game.
Yeah,
he has an assist just before that. No, sorry, he has a pre-assist where Hendo slightly plays the chance where Mane scores a disallowed goal.
Yes, yeah.
So we get a sort of an idea where we're going to attack them now. This is it. We're growing into the game. We're growing into the game. Then he does that pass. Then he does that. Then Jota gets on the inside left where he loves. From my angle, Dan's talking about his angle. It was a sideways angle. From my angle, we were shouting, cross it, cross it, cross it, as soon as we saw it. But Diogo is cold in that situation. I thought, until I saw it on the replay, I thought this is a scintillating finish or it's a slight goalkeeper error. How did you see it?
Well, it took me a couple of seconds to realize it had gone in, because at first I thought it kind of hit it into the side net and then it had gone around behind the goal. Because, yeah, like you, I was not thinking shoot from that angle, particularly the way that Jota's played in just his last couple of games. He hasn't been super sharp Jota where he looks like he can bang him in from anywhere. But we were wrong because he did. With Thiago, yeah, it's funny because I remember the home game against Newcastle and he did.
Sorry, Mo, just 1 second. Sorry, I think Dan has to go. I'm so sorry, Mo. Dan, really appreciate your time. I know you don't want to hear the rest of the show because we're about to go. We're about to talk about how we just stepped it up and went mad after that. But
I'm leaving at a good time.
Absolutely great time. But absolutely pleasure having you on again, my friend. Yes. Look after yourself. Take care.
Listen, thank you guys. Absolute pleasure. And cheers for all the nice comments in the chat as well, man. Much appreciated. And good luck for the rest of the season. Man, listen, we'll do our best, man. We'll do our best. And good luck, because I've said you win the title. So don't make me look silly now, boys. All right? Good luck.
Nice one, Dan.
Take care. See you later, boys. Yeah. Nice one, Chris.
Safe.
Sorry, Mo. Yeah.
No, you're all good. You're all good. So, yeah, with Thiago against Newcastle at home, and he did do that. He gave the ball to Shelby. Shelby ended up scoring. And then he almost did it again in the same game. And that was at the point where people were still like, oh, is he still not getting used to it? But I think his style, his relaxed style sometimes of being so, he knows what he's supposed to be doing at all times. And he's almost so in control that sometimes those things can kind of just think, he can just not give it the due care attention it deserves. And he's not the only one in our team who has that, but the way our team works is that normally there is a fail-safe in the system somewhere. So if someone does that, there's someone else random to cover over. But yeah, unlike sometimes you see a player make a mistake and it gets in their head and it kind of ruins their performance. He's been around too long for that to happen anyway.
Way too long. Too long.
And it was almost like he knew that at that point in the game, it was going to open up. Because what Dan was saying about the atmosphere changing when Arsenal missed that chance was so true. And the reason it happens is also the reason why he kind of missed the chance. Because when you're playing against this Liverpool team at the moment, you know you're not going to get lots of chances. So every time you do get a chance, the pressure's massive. And whether you feel it straight away or not, you are knowing that you are going to have to be perfect to beat this defender, that defender, and that goalkeeper. So you find people snatch at it more often than not. And it also means that when you do miss those kind of chances, everyone's like, shit, we're not going to get another one of those. And it starts to seep into their heads. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And at that moment, when we smelled the blood, that was the time for Thiago to shine. And again, it wasn't doing anything different that he does. It was just doing what he does perfectly. And that is exploiting the pitch that as he sees it in front of him. And so when you get a gap like he got to Jota, that most people would say, okay, it's a risky ball, or maybe it's a high tariff ball. I'll just feed it onto Robertson. Nah, he's made that run. He's getting the ball. And that's what he does. And having him there, now, all the times that we didn't have him there and the midfield was a little bit maybe stodgy or maybe not quite as functioning as fluidly, you see him there, you see the benefit. And for all the times we were frustrated about the times we couldn't get him onto the pitch, having him now, the impact that he can have between now and the end of the season and the silverware that could come from it, all worth it. All worth it.
Scary. When you deep it, yeah, last season when we needed to win 7 or 8 games last season, Thiago plays in all of them. We got top 4. We finished 3rd. We needed it. Like, it was a necessity. We haven't lost a game when he's played. The fact that, like, when you play your FIFA teams, your ultimate teams, your FMs, and you're building a cocktail of that midfield, that trifecta of them 3 is the perfect blend. It's like brilliant whiskey or lovely rum. It's that perfect blend of all those ingredients. I just go, you know what? That hits the spot because it's got a little bit of everything, but not just like where I say a little bit of everything. It has got top end overproof of everything. And that's the energy that these lads bring, because right in saying, I always feel like Henderson doesn't always have to have his best game, but when we take him out, we lose something in terms of the lads in that midfield knowing what it means, but knowing exactly how to take it to another team, the Liverpool way, from that engine room. This is how we leave our mark on. We don't have to be nasty and gnarly, we don't have to snap them, but we're obnoxious, we get in the face, we're aggressive, we puff our chests out, we're not shrinking violets. That's how we approach the game. We don't shit out of tackles, we keep it simple, and we play the balls that we know we're all capable of playing and make the runs for each other and work for each other. Like, he brings that's his core message. You've got Fabinho that brings, I am the shield. If anyone else goes out, I'm the shield. I've got you. And then you've got Thiago that is just, he's just a don, isn't he? Like, he is all of the world's best. The David Silvas of the past, the De Bruynes, the Fabregases. He's just got all of their key assets just merged into this small Spanish Brazilian geezer that can just do it all. He's got everything in his locker, from technique to pass to fucking range to vision, 360. He's got the lot. So when you add that to our midfield with everything else around it, you're going to struggle. There's not an easy game for you. And I've said it for weeks and months. We win most of our games through our midfield battle. The more chance that we can get that free midfield on between now and the end of the season, like Mo says, the more chance with the things that we've got available to us, I think the higher odds that we go on to win multiple trophies this season.
Mo, Hassan's comment I brought up because it's pretty much how I felt as well. Because I felt like yesterday was a perfect example of how we feel when City go and win games. This team has serious experience now. Mm-hmm. And you could tell that was the case. We had a few gears to go up, and we did. And I think it was quite apparent, because that's how I felt at the time. In the ground, there was no nervousness There
No.
was absolutely nothing in the away end to make us feel, look, lads, let's just calm down. It's 1-0. Anything can still happen. We were all, to a man, confident. And that's the experience kicking in. Because this team has been, I know we speak about it's been together for 3-4 years. And it's been together at 3-4 years at a high elite level, working out how to open up games. And then if we do open up games, ride the storms, open up a game, and then wow, end the game. So he scores, Jota scores, Diaz, Jota are still taken off, and Bobby and Mo come on. How did you feel about those situations? Did you agree with them? And did you think, would it change whether he scored or not? Was it the right thing to do at the time?
I do. And I think that it's almost like Klopp was really happy that Jota scored because it meant he could take him off and not have an unhappy player. Because it's like, okay, yeah, you've done your job for this team. I still want something different on the pitch right now.
Yes.
You've contributed. Everyone can see you've contributed. You got your goal bonus. We got our 3 points. Happy days. You heard the song. We all heard the song. I need something else, so I'm going with Bobby. And that keeps everybody happy. That keeps everybody champing at the bit. Everyone got to do their thing. And I think that is as important because everybody, you can sometimes get to this point in the season and most teams, when they're really fighting for stuff, they do streamline their lineups. It's like, okay, we're going to play our strongest 11 as often as we can. And also, when you get to the season, it's very rare that there's that much of a debate as to what is your strongest 11. But I still feel like there's quite a bit of debate in terms of the makeup of our front six, of exactly who works out into our first 11.
I agree.
And the
definitely.
reason why there's that debate is because there's no real wrong answer. Like, you can be like that. You can be like, okay, no, I'll go with that. Or, no, I'll go with that as well. And so we're in this situation now where everybody is able to come in and contribute. And it's very much a squad performance every week. And what that doesn't only build confidence, it builds togetherness, it builds belief. Everyone knows that whoever we've got on the pitch, we can get the job done. And to go back to the original point that Hassan made, that is how we've all felt about City. That's why everyone said, oh, City have got a better depth than Liverpool towards the beginning of the season. Because it's like they're all just kind of nameless, faceless, moving around. One of them will score and they'll all be happy. We're kind of like that now in terms of we can have so many different people, but they're not nameless and they're not faceless. You know their names because they're singing the songs. So I think we've kind of got the best of what we do and a little bit of the good stuff of what they do too.
Errol, very, very soon after the substitutions are made, we can see the impact straight away that Bobby's had. We can see Bobby's had a nice little relaxing time off. We love a fresh, rejuvenated Bobby. And it's almost like what you said earlier, and I didn't want you to express on it then because I had an agenda. But now you can go for it because you could see that attitude of Bobby saying, have you forgotten who I am? Have you forgotten the role that I've played in this Klopp team or squad? And have you forgotten what I can do? And I think that cameo of Bobby's, it brought a smile to a lot of Liverpool fans' faces.
It was just forgot about Dre moment. It was a banger. It was an absolute banger, bro. I swear to God. Like, for me, and do you know what the beauty of it is? Because I remember, you know, the way City play their game now, you want to get to that byline, you want to have that cutback, and you want to score as many goals from inside the 6-yard box as physically, humanly possible. If they do that, that's the job done for them. That's all they're asked about because it demoralizes teams. It's like them FIFA goals that you score past your mate where you just pass it, open net, there you go, stat pad, and you're doing your thing. They've done that so consistently well, but they have started to hit a brick wall. It was like Liverpool had to show them, this is how it's done. We'll still win the ball high up the pitch like we do. But when Robbo doesn't try and whip that, like when he gets that ball off Saka, again, that's his perseverance for me. That's that never giving up the attitude. I'm not going to give you an inch. If you can run out, because you're a ball carrier, if you can run out with the ball now, I'm in trouble. I would rather run and do a fast, intense sprint for 15, 20 yards than have to be pulled 45, 50 yards up the pitch, going back towards my own goal. So that's not happening right now. I'm going to bust a gut and I'm going to close you down. Whatever happens, if it goes out for a throw, goes out for a throw. I've done my job. But he sniffs blood. As soon as the mistakes there is made, he cuts in. And normally we're so used to Robbo just whipping those balls in first time. Who's jolly on the spot, whip it in. But he doesn't. It's like he's like, I know City are watching. I know Pep's watching. I'm going to take it right to the byline and show them what they needed to do on Monday night. And when you've got man like Bobby there, and he just loves them little no-look finishes, like he's never missing that. And he's not giving the keeper a chance to think that he was even going to take on the shot. It was like, I'm going to dummy it or I'm going to let it run past me. It was like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And for me, why I said what I said earlier in the show, Grizz, was because it was his celebration. That was what he's telling the Scousers, hug me. You guys love me. I love you. Hug me. It's been a minute. We haven't had an embrace for a long time. Do you know what I mean? And it was a nice moment for him, because what a fucking problem to have for Klopp, because now you have literally got every single one of them in the last 3 games that have all contributed, all scored, all chipping in with assists. And it's like, he knows at any given moment he can turn around to one of those lads and they can now, some of them are going to start to create a Origi level cult status. And I'm thinking the likes of Diaz might get that status boxed off early. Jota's well and truly on track for getting it. But you're going to have legends like Bobby, that's been an original OG, forgot about Dre. He's going to come back for that tribute tour, and he's going to do his thing between now and the end of the season as well. So it's going to go off, man. And I just think it was a nice, timely reminder that Bobby Firmino still has a lot of value to this squad for the rest of this season. We might have 9 Prem games left, a handful of Champions Leagues and a handful of FA Cup games. There could be 16 games left of this season, but I can almost guarantee if Jurgen Klopp's going to turn and look at any of his bench, Bobby Firmino is going to be one of the first names that pop up to come and contribute for the game.
We've got over 400 in here, and apparently we haven't even got 300 likes. So 100 of you are just haters. Like, that's the only way I can put it. Like, why are you hating? Can you please? Like, stop being haters. But oh, there was a comment earlier. Someone apparently saw me on a TikTok. I was going mad. Look, Grizz, I saw you celebrating the Jota goal from 3-4 seats. Yeah, that was me, 3-4 seats up on TikTok. Proper passion. The passion was not only showed by the fans, Mo. The passion was shown, and the rejoicing was the players celebrating and letting off the energy that we're all feeling. I don't know. The song came out, Mo.
I heard it too.
The song, we couldn't help ourselves. And you know why? I can't explain it. I mean, you try to explain it, because those songs only come out when you feel it in your blood. The feeling's there. The team feels it. Did you feel it? Was you?
It was an organic thing. It was, and it was like, I wasn't thinking it, and then I heard it, and I was like, yes, this is the time to do it, because for so many reasons, this was another big thing to tick off, because it wasn't only one of our most difficult games left. It was a game in hand. It was a midweek game. So there were lots of potential banana skins. We're playing a team who'd won 5 games in a row. You can talk about the opponents of those 5 games all you want. They're on a 5-game winning streak. So there were so many potential ways this could have been a game that slipped up. And let's not forget the psychological difference of now everyone thinks we can do it outside the building. Yes. So then the pressure goes on. So if we had dropped points at this point, that's when the narrative can change again straight away and be like, yeah, they can't. They're all right chasing, but once they're in the lead, they can't hack it. So to get into this situation and hopefully finish the job of being top when City next play by beating Watford on the Saturday lunchtime game, then they play Burnley. If we can get it so we're top of the league when they kick off next, that's another big psychological hill. And that win last night enabled us to do that. So there are all of these reasons why that game last night was such a massive, massive win. And I'm sure the same way that we as fans feel it at certain points in the season, those players and coaches do as well. 100%. And they know it more than we do because they're live, they're living it. They can feel that energy.
They can't escape it. whether they like it or not, they can't escape it. Like, it is just part and parcel of the nature of the beast, man.
And even the fact that, like, if you compare it to 1920, when we hadn't won the league and everyone was like trying to goad every single player in front of a microphone into saying you're going to win it, and everyone's like, one game at a time, one game at a time, one game at a time. And it got a little bit kind of boring. Now it's kind of like they're making jokes out of that. Like, now they are relaxed enough. Robbo's relaxed enough to come out and say, oh no, Bernardo Silva was right. If I was him, I'd rather be in his position because they've got more points. And that's the thing, is like, people missed that little extra bit. It's like, because they've got more points at the moment, but they won't have by the next time they play. So then what's up? And this is the thing, like, the fact that they were able to put out their chest and say things like that.
I love it.
Yeah, that means that they're confident and they know that they've got what it takes within that dressing room to get the job done. And that's why I'm confident too.
Mo, no better place to end it there. Just very quickly, both of you, give me your men of the match. It's a difficult one. Who are we talking? Errol?
Quickly for me, Matip, just because I think he's just become so imperious for us at the moment in terms of his command and the way he's so comfortable bringing the ball out from the back. He doesn't get phased. You'd like to think that he's going to, or opposition teams would like to think he's going to be the weak side of that defense, and you can target between the gap between him and Trent. And each time he's just closing the door shut on anything that the Prem can throw at him at the minute, and Europe. So for me, Matip again at the moment, he's standing head and above a lot of players in terms of that. The light needs to be shined on him. He needs his flowers.
100%. I mean, I can't argue with any of that. Just for the simple idea of having a different name in the mix, I really, really liked Robbo's contribution, and I think that in this last month or two, we began to see him kind of going almost up another level. But it's almost as if he's the embodiment of this whole, all of the disrespect that this team was given in the outside world. In the preseason and even the first few months of this season, where people thought we were done, we were over, we weren't going to be able to get back to where we were, etc., etc., etc. And then he has obviously had the test for his place like he hasn't had before in his Liverpool career. And he was hearing, oh, well, Tsimikas is great. Maybe Tsimikas is the future of Liverpool. It's like, hold on. I'm still the guy around here. And that energy that he's brought to every single performance, I love it. And he was in that mode again last night.
That energy you speak about is emanating throughout the squad. We spoke about Bobby saying, hold on. We spoke about Robbo saying, hold on. Even, in terms of midfield, Naby saying, hold on. Thiago coming in saying, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant place to be. Guys, this has been fantastic. Loads of people are pouring in because they said, oh, we thought it was 9 o'clock show. I'm so sorry. I should have advertised it earlier. Some fellas couldn't make it earlier or later, so I had to do it 8 p.m.
I got work to do.
It's busy people. Do you know what I mean? So, but I must thank you two both for making an amazing show and content again. This could be monumental. The show must go on. The show must go on because it has to go on. The show has to go on because we're in the show. We're the main characters in this fucking show. There's no other characters bigger than us in this show. So it will go on until we're not characters in the show. And so therefore, we keep it moving. We go to the FA Cup quarterfinal, the draw, Champions League draw tomorrow. And then we continue.
Who do you want? Or can I not ask?
Go on, Mo.
I mean, obviously, it's more about anyone. I'd love City, I really would. I just think
my guy, you like me, bro. You're on the same wavelength.
Oh, man,
I want to mash them up. 3 games on the bounce, just mash them up.
At this point here, in their mental state, this would be the absolute worst thing to happen to them.
See, I'm having Benfica brothers. Come on, sort this out.
I mean, if you want the kind of answer, what am I going to be thinking when the balls are out? I want to see Albi Moreno come back.
Yeah. Yes.
Give him a nice kind of warm reception for knocking out Juventus this season and Man U last season. Yeah, man. Bring Albi back for the party.
100%. But we cross that bridge. We cross that bridge tomorrow. No, we don't cross it tomorrow, but we find out what bridge we have to cross tomorrow. Guys, this has been Khanage. This has been the post-match show. Liverpool went away to Arsenal and came back with a huge, monumental, possibly pivotal 3 points. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Don't forget to follow the guys. Their handles are there. Make sure you subscribe to the content they're producing as well. These are legends. Liverpool are legends. We are having amazing times. Let's keep this going. Over and out. Take care.